At the end of October, I ran the Lisbon Marathon, and I did that in these bad boys, or should I say maybe bad girls, since they are really pink. These are the Puma Deviate Nitro 3s, and in this video I'm gonna tell you why I bought these shoes and what I think of them. My name is Caroline, and on this channel, Run Letters, I talk all about running gear, gadgets and events. So if you're interested in that, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you would like my free ultimate gear guide, then check out the first link in the description. Or if you're watching on TV, just scan this QR code. Before we dive into this review, I do want to give one quick disclaimer. In my opinion, shoe reviews are always incredibly subjective. What I think is a good shoe might not be a good shoe for you. So in this video, I'm going to talk about things that are relatable to any type of runner. Things like the price, if the shoe fits true to size, on what kind of terrain it works well, and so forth. Now, with that out of the way, let's start off with one of the most important things. How much does this shoe retail for? Right now, the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 retails for about $160 in the US, £150 in the UK, and about 170 euros in Europe. However, if you shop around, you can get some pretty good deals on these shoes right now, and you can easily get about 20 to 30, maybe even 40% off. And with that retail price, this shoe falls kind of in the same category as, say, the Adidas Evo SL, Nike Zoom Fly 6, and the Endorphin Speed from Saucony. Let's talk about the style. So I got this special Puma Say Sky collaboration. The only reason for that being that this is the version that was available to me on our secondhand marketplace. I got them for a really good discounted price, and I don't really care about the colors. There are many different colors out there though, so I'm sure that you can find one that you like. You can see that the shoe has a very subtle rocker, so you know the way that it basically flows from the heel to the toe isn't the shape that we see in some of the shoes nowadays, where you kind of feel like the toes are so far up that when you make a step, you immediately get pushed to the front. So it's a little bit more of like a traditional shoe in that sense. And I personally kind of like that. Then let's talk a little bit about the sizing and fit of this shoe. This is quite a narrow shoe. Personally, I have not wide feet, so for me that's fine. But if you have wide feet, I doubt that this shoe is going to feel very comfortable for you. And it also does have a pretty narrow toe box. If you know that a narrow toe box doesn't work for you, not a shoe for you. I do think in general the shoe falls slightly small, so I would definitely recommend that you size up in these. Now, other things I might want to mention here in this section is that this shoe is not very breathable. The mesh here is quite thick. When your feet get wet in these shoes, it does take a long time for the shoe to dry up. The next thing I want to talk about is terrain. So while this is definitely a road shoe, it does have pretty good grip for a road shoe. I have found that this grip works really well. I wore these shoes during my recent marathon here in Lisbon on a very rainy day, and I had zero problems with grip. There were a few very sharp corners on that marathon, and I never had to worry that I was going to slip or anything like that. So if you are somebody that is racing a lot, especially maybe in European cities where you can get cobblestones and so forth during races, I think that this is a pretty solid choice. So it's pretty much perfect for running on tarmac, on pavement, and even on light gravel. No trouble here. Now that we've covered terrain, let's talk about versatility. The Lisbon Marathon was not one of my A races. I just did it for fun, and hence I went for a shoe like this and not a super shoe. When I was researching these shoes before I bought them, I read how the shoe has a full-on carbon plate, and I was pretty interested in having this in one of my super trainers. It's often recommended to practice running on a carbon plate a few times before your race, so your legs can kind of adapt to that. And I didn't have a carbon plate in any other shoe than my race day shoe, so I thought it would be handy to have one of these. Now, I do find that the carbon plate in these Puma Deviate Nitro 3s feels very different than the carbon plate that I have in my race day shoes. This is still a very stiff shoe, so yes, it does kind of propel you forward. It does have that feel of a carbon plated shoe, but it just feels less aggressive. I'm not sure why that is, because I've seen many reviews about this shoe and most people talk about how fast it is, but to me it just doesn't feel like a super fast shoe. Yet I do feel like the energy return in this shoe is really quite good, so yeah, if you're looking for a shoe that will help you to keep up the pace for long extended periods of time, I think this shoe will definitely do that. So if the question is, what can you use these shoes for? I would say you use them for workouts, for long runs where you want to maybe pick up the speed every now and then, where maybe you're doing some strides. And I think you can also wear these on race day, especially if you don't have a unique race day shoe, which honestly, I think for many of us is not necessary. Then I think that this is a very good shoe because it is so much more versatile than just a race day shoe would be, just a super shoe. And to me, that makes it way more valuable. Last but not least, durability. How do these shoes hold up? I have ran about 250 kilometers on these shoes, and so far I personally haven't found any degrading of quality. I read on the internet that the outsole can give up pretty easily. Now, I run on a lot of gravel and this outsole still looks absolutely perfect to me. So, in my opinion, they're holding up really well. I would love to come back to you and give you a full review after maybe like 700 kilometers, because I feel like that is when I might start feeling the foam wearing out, maybe a bit earlier. But at 250 kilometers, something like that, this shoe is still like new. Final verdict. Would I recommend the Puma Deviate Nitro 3? And if so, for who? I think generally, yes. It's a good shoe. It is a very versatile shoe. It's got pretty good grip. It's comfortable. It's not a shoe though that has blown me away. Nothing about this shoe has made me think, wow. Based on all the reviews that I watched about this shoe, I thought I was gonna absolutely fall in love with these and find them amazing, but it's not how I feel. So would I really recommend them? I don't know. I think for the price that these shoes retail at, you can find shoes that are maybe just slightly more impressive and that you're gonna like more. And I'm sure that there are some people that might comment on this video saying I'm ridiculous and this is the best shoe ever. And that might be the case, and this is where my final verdict is maybe a little bit subjective, if not a lot. If you are trying to find your new workout race day shoe, the one that you're gonna wear a lot because you're not really investing in like one super shoe and you want a shoe that can kind of do it all, except maybe for your recovery runs, then I would recommend that you go to a running store and try out a few different shoes that are kind of similar in a way to just feel what you like most. And to be fair, in the end, that is always the recommendation. See if you can go and try them on. If that is impossible to you, or you are just very curious like I was, then see if you can get a good deal on these. Because I do not regret getting them, especially at the price that I got them at. I hope that this video is useful to you in any way, especially if you have maybe been considering the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. And yeah, that about wraps it up. So don't forget to get my free gear guide down below. Also check out the Run Letters Run Club. You can become a member. It's a really cool global run club. And I will see you in the next video.